Hi, I'm Stephanie Sage with Sage Restoration, and today I have a very special guest, Kelli Bailiff with the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office. I'm bringing Kelli on today. I so appreciate you coming on my show.
Thank you for the invitation.
Well, sure. I love what you do. Kelli really reaches out to the community in a big way. She came and talked to one of my women's networking groups about all the wonderful things that she does. And today's show focuses on her Heroes and Helpers gift card program for kids to help kids out. It's mostly underprivileged children, or
No, it's children who are victims of crime.
oh, okay, that's the focus. But to give them an extra special holiday.
Yes.
So
yes,
that's
absolutely.
awesome. But how long have you been with the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Department?
Well, I started my career, went to the police academy in 1982, and I was down at another police department, but I moved to the sheriff's department in '89.
Okay. So how many years is that?
Oh gosh, we're looking at quite a few.
Yeah.
Quite a few. You know, I got to where I don't count them anymore.
Yeah, it
So,
doesn't matter.
I took a quick break to take care of my parents and worked at someplace else, but then I'm back at the sheriff's department full time.
Yeah.
Have been for a few years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great years of service. And what's it like being a woman in law enforcement?
You know, it can be challenging at times. It was really challenging in 1982.
I bet.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
But it was also exciting too, because some of the guys would act like they were just my brothers, and they wanted to protect me. And once they saw that I could prove myself, then it was fine. But even now in law enforcement, there are some people who are still out there who think maybe women can't do as much men, but that's kind of going by the wayside, and people are starting to see that women are just as capable,
Right.
and sometimes even have some better qualities that some of the men don't have.
Right.
You know, we sometimes can speak to people differently. We have a different approach.
Right.
And so we can mix our skills along with what the men bring to the table, and we team up really well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's kind of how my approach is being in the trades, in that, you know, we can be very different from men.
Sure.
And maybe sometimes not as physically strong.
Correct.
You know, but we have
Absolutely.
other skills. So
That's
we
right.
have more empathy sometimes, listening skills, and some other things, especially in law enforcement when you're dealing with people that are scared,
Right. Absolutely.
fearful, what have you.
Absolutely. But we team up very well now.
That's
That's
awesome.
great. Yes.
Good to hear it. How many women are in the sheriff's office?
The sheriff's department probably has maybe about 30% female. Now that's counting those deputies that are assigned to the detention, and then we have a few up in patrol. But we have great quality women up at the sheriff's department.
Awesome.
I'm proud of each and every one of them.
Good to hear that. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm always trying to, you know, get female technicians and
Yes.
other women I know that have businesses in the trades. We're always trying to encourage women to not, you know, work for companies in the trades or even start your own
Right.
business.
Right.
'Cause
Well, I
women-
encourage women to get out there and just do whatever they want to do.
Exactly.
And if they choose to come into law enforcement, then we'll take them and we'll guide them just as we would anyone else.
Exactly. That's awesome. And then I was really impressed with the story that you told it was the ABWA
Yes.
networking meeting. I had never heard, I'd seen you on TV, but I had never heard your story on how you started your crusade in finding lost children.
Absolutely. I started a missing child unit back at the sheriff's department back in the early 90s. It was really a strong passion of mine working with John Walsh and seeing the story of what happened with him and his child. He was originally a little frustrated with how law enforcement responded, so I wanted to work closely with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and learn how to do that job better and to become more effective in recovering missing children. And so I went and received the training, and we opened up our own unit back in 1993.
That's
and
awesome.
we've been very successful.
Yeah.
And then I slowly went over to Channel 9 and was able to get the help from the viewers
Yeah.
who were calling in, and that has really helped in the recovery of many missing kids.
Yeah, I've seen you on TV and you do an awesome
It's
job.
been there almost 26 years.
That's
and
amazing.
And it's KMBC is very, very kind, and
Yeah.
they're really proactive into supporting finding missing kids.
Well, cool. And then how many kids do you think you've found over the years?
You know, not having my whole case files and statistics here is well over 600.
Wow.
We're probably getting close to 680, 690.
That's pretty
Yeah.
scary to think that many children go missing. Now, is that in just Kansas City or nationwide?
Well, it could be nationwide. We take the cases that our kids are missing here, but may travel someplace else. But we also get notified from other law enforcement agencies that the children could be traveling through or in our area.
Wow.
So we, of course, have recovered many kids missing from other states and other jurisdictions. They just happen to be traveling or have landed here.
That's crazy. And I think I remember you saying that a lot of the kids, it's actually family that's involved in a large percentage of these?
There is. There's a lot of throwaway kids. There's a lot of runaway kids. There's a lot of parental abductions. We do have some infant abductions. And we have a lot of kids who are being swayed off the internet.
Oh, that's so
and those
scary.
are not by family, but the parental abductions, we now have case law here in laws in Kansas for interference with parental custody. And for some reason, there's disputes. I always called it the green-eyed monster, that jealousy when the other parent goes into another relationship and don't want that child to call someone else mom or dad.
Because it's frightening. I've been divorced and I've been through that. It's a scary thing.
It is.
You know.
And then sometimes people just don't have their head wrapped around how to divorce correctly and how to manage custody of children. And so they tend to think irrationally for the moment and they take off, and we have to find the children. Now sometimes we're in extreme situations where the children are really in danger, but when we do child search on Channel 9, I let those people know if we have a deep concern or whether this is somebody who is just absconded from the courts and have decided to take off.
Right. Or I've seen stories where they've actually killed the children because they're like either I have them or nobody does.
Absolutely. If I can't have them, you're not going to have them. So you know what? Nobody's going to have them, and that is happening. Unfortunately, the rate of those are going up higher.
That's really scary.
It's sad.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe just more counseling in the divorce court system and you know is needed because it is a stressful thing and your kids are your kids, and to think that somebody else is going to have control over them is very frightening, and it's hard to get a track of your emotions on dealing with that, even when you are rational, because it's just not easy.
Some people can't separate that. I no longer want to be married to you, but I still want to be a parent. And they struggle with how to get their emotions intact and how to correctly parent while still going through a traumatic divorce. And it is very, very hard. There's some counseling that's available, and there's some parenting classes to do that, but people have to take that initiative in order to make that happen. And you just can't solve the problems on your own because you're not going to win against a court order. You're really not. And to defy it and just do what you want to do, especially
it doesn't help anybody.
If you take off and go to another state, just think what you're doing to the kids. That's taking the kids away from their school, their other family members. So people just have to realize they have to think of the child first and not them.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And as an adult, you just have to get help if you can't manage those feelings and you're feeling fearful and it's you're fighting over money and a house
and you're angry and everything else and parents and adults need to take care of adult issues and not involve the children in the adult issues, and that's really hard to do when the child has been a part of hearing of all the discussions and being part of the divorce. As much as you can separate them from that process, the better. And some people don't intend to. They just don't know how to cope with it. Especially if they're not wanting the divorce. And it's very emotional and it's gut-wrenching. I mean, it's life-changing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so sometimes poor decisions are made.
Yeah, I know. It's just scary.
Yeah. So we have to help them pull them back in and at least get the child in a safe environment. But we do. So yes, the answer to your question to that is yes. A lot of them are parental abductions, and sometimes they travel through multiple states. We recover a lot of children who are from other states that people try to hide here in a larger metropolitan area, thinking they won't be seen. Doesn't usually work. Sometimes they change the child's appearance. But we can see through that too. And we do our best, and then we try to get them the help they need.
Yeah. And I love in that story too is I always tell my kids, always trust your intuition, because every time I don't trust mine, I'm like, oh, why didn't I listen to that little voice? Because that's how you found that little girl. I remember that story.
Sheila.
A little girl pointed up like that, and you're like, we looked upstairs.
We looked upstairs, but there was an attic. And the finding of children in attics and in other places secluded by people that the children think love them is on the rise too. You're hearing more about it, but there's sometimes you don't hear everything. And I don't understand the thinking of some of those people. I've interviewed some of them, and The rationale behind that just is not making sense to me. But we do have to deal with that, and that's usually very sad. And luckily for Sheila, it was a great outcome.
Exactly.
It was. Of course, she had some medical issues and things we had to deal with, but you're right.
She was alive, at least.
She was alive, and sometimes children are not found alive, and it's, those are the gut-wrenching cases that we have to work.
Yeah, or this whole human trafficking.
Well, yes.
That's crazy.
Oh, yes, and we're heavy into that also.
Oh.
So the human trafficking has the element, a lot of those are your runaways or your throwaway children, children that don't want to run away, but they have some problems at home where their parents actually kick them out. And
or maybe the parents are alcoholics, drug problems, or they're abusive.
Absolutely, and they lock them out, and they don't want to take care of them, and so the kids are on the street, and a lot of people think they're runaways, but they're really in a classification called throwaways.
Okay.
And they get sucked up into the internet, and runaways get sucked up into the internet. If somebody's having a bad day and they see someone, oh, I love you, I'll take care of you, don't mind what your parents are doing. Well, they're easily swayed into that.
Because they're desperate.
They are
desperate.
desperate.
On the street.
So I've aired many cases where we have this child's photo from like the school photo where they look their age appropriate, you know, they look 14 or 15. And then sometimes we'll show a picture of a child that looks like they're 25, 26, and we end up finding that they are on some sites being sold as part of human trafficking.
It's just like,
well, it's gut-wrenching. Yes, it really is. It's really upsetting to see that. In fact, I've aired a case lately.
Then they become like prisoners.
They do. They do. At first, they may go willingly, and then all of a sudden, they're buying them gifts and they're treating them right, and they're promising, saying, "Hey, I'm going to do better than what you're getting at home." And then all of a sudden, those gifts start, you know, coming backwards. They start mistreating them, and then they get into a situation that they sometimes can't get out of.
Right.
And some can. There has been some kids that have been located that are now teenagers. They were able to get away, and we applaud their efforts for being so strong in order to try to get away from their abductor.
Right.
But we know there's a lot of kids out there right now who just can't get away, but we're not going to stop giving up on them.
Well, no,
absolutely
that's
not.
just so crazy.
My philosophy as far as all of our missing child cases, people may say, you know, after a few months or a few years, you know, the possibility of what could have happened, but in my mind, I'm working as the voice of the children, and every time I look at those parents, I'm going to do everything possible that I can in order to find their children, no matter how long they've been missing.
So what happens, let's say you have a family that says, we're kicking you out of the house and the kid's only 14.
Right.
So now do you go back to the parents, or do they have some responsibility for that? Or I mean, what's,
yes.
you know, because the kids aren't 18 legal age, adults. So.
Sadly enough, though, those are the kids that don't get reported missing.
Right. Well, yeah.
So if the parents kick them out, they're not going to report them missing, so we're not necessarily going to know that they're out there.
Exactly.
They may wind up in a situation like on a car stop, or we may locate them and find out.
Or they're loitering on the streets or whatever.
Absolutely, or they're just.
And they have no ID or.
Correct. Or there was somebody that they shouldn't be. Somebody who's quite older, and we're finding out, well, when did you leave home? Well, my parents kicked me out 3 months ago. We go back and look in the system. There is not a missing child report.
Right.
So we do go back to the parent, but we find so many problems at that home that, drugs, alcohol, mental illness, or anything like that, that would have caused that parent to make that poor decision.
Right.
We've had some parents regret that decision, of course, but that is how our throwaway kids seem to wind up on the streets.
Complicated.
It really is, especially if we don't have a report to go on that they're reported missing.
You
we
just
don't
have
know
to
about
stumble
it.
upon them, basically.
We stumble upon them, yes.
Wow. Yes. You deal with
we deal with a lot. We deal with a lot. Yeah, that's why it's my passion.
Yes.
Because, you know, there's just so much out there that you feel like you can do in order to help missing kids, that every day is a new day.
Yeah.
And every day is an exciting day where you hope, oh, maybe I can take one kid home back to their family, or to an appropriate place where they need the assistance that they need. I just call them locating them. I just want to locate as many as I can.
Exactly. And hopefully get their lives back on track and with
in
that
one form
healthy
or another.
environment.
Right, whatever
That's
that is.
awesome.
Yeah.
You're amazing.
Oh, you're so sweet.
We'll head on over to your Heroes and Helpers program. Tell us about, when did you start that and why?
Well, I started it back in the early 90s. It was actually called Sheriff's Office Assisting Victims of Crime, and it was really quite a long name. But what I wanted to do was help children who are victims of crime. actually documented through the district attorney's office.
Mm-hmm.
There are many programs out there which I support for children, whether it be economic status or whatever, that they need help around the holidays. But I wanted to start something where we were really helping kids who've been the victim of a violent crime.
Okay.
Kids that either we came across or another law enforcement agency did, where the case was prosecuted. Sometimes the child had to get on the stand and testify about the horrible events they went through.
Or witnessed, whatever.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And they go through this whole process, and the court process sometimes takes so long that there was not a program to follow up on the kids afterwards. And I had worked so many cases, I was like, well, I'm wondering how Susie or David or Joy was doing, and there was no follow-up. The victim advocates did a wonderful job through the court process, but I wanted to see these kids afterwards, because the last time they saw me or another officer, the situation was very negative. When we were in court, we couldn't go up and give them a hug.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just the mom and the nana and me, but I wanted to go and be able to give them a hug and have a positive interaction with them for all the negative that they went through. So in the early 90s.
And then it's coming from law enforcement too, because they may have a totally skewed view of, like, you know, that
so
law enforcement is good and, you know, has a place.
Right, so it actually has a dual function. And there's many law enforcement officers that would love the chance to go back and able to hug and to see the child in a different environment and be able to really express themselves and just say, I'm so sorry for what happened to you. And this gives them an opportunity.
Right.
So back in the early 90s, I started gathering up cases of children who are victims of crime. I started reaching out to the parents and or the guardians, depending where they were, and said, if I were to have a party or an event, would you bring your child back and let them have a positive interaction with us? And they thought about it and they said, I think that's a wonderful idea. First of all, they don't really understand who was out there. Their perception of law enforcement may be different. And I'm like, and it really helps the officers and them to build that rapport. So in '93, I started helping about 50 or 60 people, and then it went to about over 300 or 400 kids over the course of the years. I had some help with a good buddy, George Brett and Frank White, who were helping at that time. And then the program got to be so big, it kind of got too expensive.
Yeah.
So it kind of went by the wayside for a couple years. Oh, I know. I got really disappointed with that until the concept of the Heroes and Helpers program came up. And when I say heroes, I'm talking about the kids. The kids who have been through these horrific events. And the helpers are the law enforcement and the advocates in order to help them through that process.
Exactly.
So once a year, I do a program where I go through the case files, and the victim advocates bring forth the kids and either their families and or their guardians who they're with, and we take the kids shopping.
How fun is that?
Yes, it's a police officer and it is the child, and the parents go back in the room and they don't get
or
to
the guardians,
shop.
what happens?
Yeah, the guardians. They don't get. There's another party back there waiting for them, and they don't get to participate in the shopping. Because we want to have that one-on-one positive interaction with the child.
Right.
We want to build that rapport up, and we want to be able to give them a hug, and we want to be able to say, hey, we know that was back then, but we're going to go have a fun day shopping.
Yeah.
And the rule is you cannot shop for anyone else.
Okay.
They must shop for themselves. Even though they may want to shop for a sibling, it's all about them.
Okay.
So we take them shopping, and we try to allow a certain amount of money for each kid that we use our gift cards for. And I will tell you, I have had kids write me thank you notes where the parents have called after Christmas and said, the gifts that you guys helped them purchase were the best gifts they had. And they said, the time that you spent with them was the biggest gift of all.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. Oh my God, I'll tear out here.
But it is. But so it's good for the child, and it's really good from the family or the guardian, showing that we care enough.
Right.
And it's very healthy for us as law enforcement in order to be able to put forth our positive feelings, because we're human too.
Exactly.
And if we've seen a kid in a horrible situation, and whether it was our case or not, we want to give them a hug, and we want to let them know that we're still there for them, and we want them to contact them, and then we care about them and come to us if they ever need any help. And if they have any doubts, like you had mentioned.
Yeah.
That's that time where we have those discussions. Hey, don't be listening to other people. We're here to help. And just because you met us in a negative way doesn't mean that that's the way that it has to be.
Right.
So if ever you need to call us and just ask us something, please do so.
Right.
We build those rapport during the couple hours that we're with them, and I've heard it's been successful.
That's
and
awesome.
we do that every year. We do it the first week of December.
Okay.
And we take a group shopping.
I mean, how big do you think the group will be this year? How many kids?
Well, we're going to hang around 20 this year, just because of funding.
Yeah.
And then as I move forward next year, then we're going to start incorporating more kids, and I want to build that program back up again.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it was up to hundreds.
Yeah, it was up to hundreds.
That's a shame that.
Well, it got hard to manage, and the funding. You know, you have to have the funding, and law enforcement doesn't fund that. It had to come from outside resources. And those of us in law enforcement, first of all, ethically, you can't go up and just ask for somebody for a whole lot of money. So, but now that we're hoping to get the word out, that maybe we can come up with some people who might help us out a little bit and take some of these kids shopping.
So what on average do you spend per child? It probably depends on the funding.
It depends on the funding.
What is your goal, or what would be a nice number, so that way next year we have a goal to go towards? Like, we need so many people to donate so much money or gift cards to help 20 more kids.
Right.
You know, every year build on that.
I say about 120.
Okay.
And then, of course, we don't pay taxes for where we have to go. We have a tax exempt, so it's a full 120.
Okay.
And 120 does pretty good. I mean, if they get one big thing, one kid bought a bicycle, but they didn't care whether they had $30 left, and we got them a helmet.
Yeah.
But the bike was just it. So it wasn't necessarily about how many gifts they got. It was the fact that we helped them pick it out, and that they had something special from the law enforcement. So it could be one thing. We had one girl that went shopping that, now her economic status was not great, so she wanted to buy a bunch of clothes.
Right.
So we went right up to about the $120 for her, so that she could get in. And there's a lot of officers, I will even tell you, who reached into their pocket if their bill went over $120 and they paid that. There's some of the adults that show up that do that. Because if somebody's shy by $10, we're not going to make them put something back.
I know.
But the cops go around and they're marking on the phone and they're keeping track of what it is. But if we're off a few dollars, we're not going to take anything away.
Where do you usually go shopping at? Do you pick like a shopping center, a mall, or?
Yeah, recently we've even gone to Target. We've been doing pretty good there.
Okay. Well, they have everything, clothes,
well,
toys.
they do. They do.
Music, you know, whatever.
And we're not necessarily locked into that, but we've had good experiences there.
Okay.
And they put together an after party, so the kids go back. And they even put together a small little package of candy and some things that's personalized for them.
Okay.
And they have like donuts and things for their parents or guardians, and then for the kids. And I think it's good for their employees too. I think they feel like that they're really helping out. But we're not locked into any one store in particular. We go where we feel we can have the best experience for the child, and so far that's where we've been going.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're going to do something here at Sage. We're going to, have it collect something. If whoever wants to contribute it, obviously it's, they don't have to. But we will definitely do what we can here at Sage to at least help, I don't know, at least one child out, if not more.
Oh,
we'll
that
do
would be
what we
wonderful.
can.
Well, we so appreciate that.
Well, sure. I appreciate you helping the community like you do. What's the average age range?
Well, we try to make it so where they're understanding the concept of what it is. But if we have a child victim who's 3 or 4 that really, really needs the assistance, we'll bring those young children in.
Okay.
I like between 5 and 6 and like 15 to 17, because those kids are really understanding. Because when we have those discussions with them, we tell them why we're doing this program. That we want them to trust us. We want them to come to us. So the teenagers, usually when I'm locating missing kids, it's between 5 and 17. Okay. So that's the hot group that we're kind of looking at. Then we will do 2 or 3 year olds if it warrants it.
Okay. So then you take like, do you want generic gift cards like the Visa, MasterCard?
We do.
Generic ones, or
even to Target. Yeah.
Or cash or checks.
Right.
How does that work?
See, that really doesn't work well for us in law enforcement. We have to run into an ethical issue where I don't accept checks, or not really fond in accepting
cash. Right, because that get kind of complicated.
It could, and I don't want to get involved in that. So I would just as soon receive the gift cards themselves, and then that way we can dedicate it solely for the program, and we don't have to worry about, somebody saying, well, what checking account? I'm just not going to get into that.
I totally
You almost
get
have to have a 501c3 to do that.
Yeah.
And that is another option moving forward if we're going to expand it, is I've been advised that if I hooked up with a 501c3, that we could be like a little subsection of them, that we could accept monetary donations.
Have a bank account.
Have a bank account, and then they would then go out and purchase the gift cards and give us the gift cards. But right now, we're not a 501c3, so we don't deal in cash or checks.
Okay, something to think about going forward.
Yeah, moving forward, I'm gonna open up that opportunity here in the next couple years and see if maybe we can grow this if we do hook up with a 501c3.
That's awesome. Because I've always heard that, sometimes it can just take one person outside a kid's family that is from a dysfunctional family, or just things aren't really, in the perfect situation, that one outside person can make all the difference for a child and the course of their life.
Right. And we like being those people.
Yeah, I know you do. You are amazing.
Oh, thank you. I just love it.
Yeah, I can tell. And that's going to be your passion when you retire someday. You're not going to stop doing this.
I'm not going to stop doing it. I am retiring recently. Coming up in December, I am going to retire. But this program is going to grow.
Yes.
And I'm still going to make it even bigger and better. And metro-wide, we're gonna incorporate more counties into it, and it'll give me more time.
Yeah.
That I can do that, but no, Heroes and Helpers is not going away. We're gonna get bigger.
That's awesome. I'd love to be a part of that and help you out going forward too. Okay, so how can people donate to your cause? Do they send is there a certain place they can send cards to, or deliver them to the sheriff's office? Or?
It'd probably be great if they could bring them up to the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
Or if you're willing to be a recipient, people can bring them there.
Yeah, anybody, if you are close to Sage Restoration, we are in the College and Metcalf area. We're located, you can get on our website, sagerestorationkc.com, and it has our address. I'd be more than happy to collect any donations, gift cards, generic Visa, MasterCard type, or Target gift cards.
Right, and see, they can give you cash, and then you can give us the gift cards. We just
that's
can't
true
give with the cash.
Yeah, drive by with cash. We'll get some cards.
I'm on Facebook, so you can message me on Facebook.
Okay.
And I'd be glad to come pick them up.
Okay.
Probably not through the mail is a good idea.
Yeah.
I would just as soon have someone drop them off at the sheriff's department or with you or someone else, or we go pick them up. Is probably the best way to do it right now.
Okay. Well, I encourage anybody that's watching our show to contribute to this great cause of helping these kids have an extra special holiday, and then feeding into Kelly's magnificent passion that she has going here with helping kids. So I am just so thankful you came on my show, and I'm sure that Kansas City is so appreciative for what you do.
I'm so
or the nation, for goodness sakes. I mean, you help find kids across the whole country.
Yeah, I'm just really blessed to be in this career, and have had all these opportunities and work with so many special people, and then work with so many organizations, and businesses like yourself that are so willing to help. I'm just really blessed, and I'm just really happy that I can take my passion and take it to the moon and back. That's really what I want to do.
Well, you're a fascinating lady, and
thank
you again.
Thank you.
So I guess we're going to wrap it up here, and I appreciate anybody that has tuned in, and just give me a call, come by Sage, or go to the sheriff's office to donate. So everybody have a great day.
Yep. Have wonderful holidays, everyone.